This is the second episode story, More Than Gold. Romantasy between a shy aloof thief and cute sunshine noble. Tropes are supposed to be enemies to lovers and damsel in distress. So here it is. Skye's job was simple. Break into the Master of Coin's home office to steal the keys and combination to the treasury the council kept hidden from the public. According to their boss's intel, the Gladwell family were all indisposed, celebrating the engagement of one of the 5 daughters, one of which was the Master of Coin. With time on their side, Skye carefully combed every corner of the office. Stacks of papers and journals scattered the floor and desk, and the bookshelves were stuffed full of books fighting for space among art pieces, statuettes, and other trinkets. Skye easily found the 3 keys to the complex safe hidden amidst the clutter. However, no matter how much time they had, finding a single note among the dozens of journals scattered around seemed impossible. Unconsciously organizing them as they went, Skye flipped through journal after journal, deciphering elegant script and little drawings in the corner of each page. After the 6th journal, the job became more trouble than it was worth, until images of stacks upon stacks of gold flashed through Skye's mind. Oh, I wasn't expecting any visitors today. Skye dropped the journal in their hand and reached for the short sword they didn't bring. Cursing under their breath, they used their peripheral vision to find a suitable replacement, not taking their eyes off the intruder. In the doorway stood a pale, skinny noble dressed in a fine silver-embroidered suit. The suit jacket was baggy, slightly oversized, despite the rings on each finger displaying the man had enough money to spare on a tailored jacket. Was he simply flaunting the fact that he could afford to waste the extra fabric? Skye scowled at the thought, the locations of a letter opener and heavy decanter in the back of their mind. Contrary to the situation, the noble's lips were curved into a friendly smile. Might I ask who you are? I must thank you for organizing that mess of journals for me. Skye looked from the journals to the noble. The journals were all regarding the country's finances, something only the Master of Coin would own. 100 questions swirled in Skye's mind, but they could only silently stare at the stranger stepping closer. Are you mute, perhaps? You look like a little frightened kitten, the noble cooed. He was either fearless or stupid. You're the one who broke in, however. Shouldn't I be the frightened one? Skye thought he was fearless or stupid until they saw him inching toward a rope that led into the wall and likely to his guards. You're Allison Gladwell? Skye asked, stalling, their voice barely more than a whisper. That's a name I used. The noble's smile disappeared for a moment before he forced it back on his face. I go by Aldrian Gladwell. I don't care. Skye couldn't risk killing the Master of Coin. The safe combination likely existed only in his memory. But you asked? Aldrian cocked his head. He wanted to say something more, but Skye flung a journal full of loose parchment into the noble's face. As the noble flinched, Skye dashed past him, knocking him aside. Bells rang somewhere downstairs, and the clatter of armor marched from the guard station. In one smooth motion, Skye leapt from the open hallway window to an oak tree outside, hopping from branch to branch until their feet hit the ground. The shadows hid their escape from the city. Barris's band of thieves hid in the twisting caverns past the dunes. Once a safe distance from the city, hidden in the swirling sands and frigid desert winds, Skye whistled for the horse they'd left at the mouth of a shallow cave, a shelter to hide from the vicious sandstorms that often buffeted the deserts of Cressea. Cloud, the gray and white spotted mare, trotted up to her master, shaking her head and fussing with the hood she had to wear to protect her from the harsh winds and sand. The stars lit the way back to the hideout, and Cloud knew the way better than most humans, her sweet home of apples and hoodless lounging. The first light of dawn crested over the horizon as Skye arrived to the caverns, riding Cloud to the stables and freeing her from the hood. Shaking the sand from their clothes and head wrap, Skye wound through the twisting paths to the depths of the hideout. Barris's office was the largest atrium of the caves, lit by sconces along the walls and a pair of tall torches on either side of his raised seat, a throne in all but name, in the back of the atrium. Skye, it's about time you got back. Started to worry we'd have to break you out the dungeons. Burris's round belly bounced as he laughed. The others in the room laughed along, though more at the belly than the joke. Skye shuffled forward, ignoring the greetings they didn't want to respond to, and held out the keys for their boss. Couldn't get the combination. Burris leaned forward to receive the keys and leaned further to hear Skye. Gods, how many times do I need to tell you to speak the hell up? Skye, you know the boss is hard of hearing in his old age. Marcus, the boss's right hand, replied with a laugh. Ha ha, very funny. Bunch of ungrateful louts, the lot of you. Burris had to fight the twitching corners of his mouth to sell his pretend anger. Anyway, the combination? Skye stood straighter and raised their voice slightly. The master of coin interrupted me, but I think he just has the numbers memorized. I couldn't find any notes. The boss scratched his scraggly beard. Well, we'll just have to force the combination out of her then. Him? The Gladewells only have daughters. Skye only shrugged in response, eager to be dismissed. Whatever. Man, woman, cat, or dog. The job's the same. Give me a night to think. Marcus, spread the word that I'll need everyone in here tomorrow evening. Marcus nodded and left, and Skye followed, not waiting for the boss to formally send them away. He was too busy muttering to himself and scheming. The band of thieves wasn't huge, but the atrium was stifling with everyone squeezed inside. Skye pressed against the back wall, behind Barris's seat, while the boss shared his plan. We got the keys, but the combination needs to be pulled from the Master of Coin himself. Skye tells me we're going after an Aldrin Gladwell. There were some mutterings throughout the atrium, but no one cared enough to question the name. You'll be in 3 teams, Barris continued. Team 1 will be in charge of nabbing the noble. Marcus, you're in charge of that one. Team 2 will lead a diversion on the opposite side of the city. Rob that bastard Titsky blind so he remembers not to skimp us in the future. Be loud and get out as soon as you see a guard. Skye, you're in charge of that one. Skye vehemently shook their head, silently pleading with their bosses to choose someone else. Do it, damn it, or you'll be on stable duty for the next 3 months. Barris snapped. Team 3 will make sure Team 1 has no guards to worry about, and Team 2 is covered as they escape. Cynthia, you're in charge there. Do whatever you want. Cynthia's wicked grin foretold the sorry fate of any guards she came across. Skye's team consisted of 4 other members, including one newbie. They hardly knew anyone's name, although they'd been with Burroughs nearly 15 years, and leading a team was the most tedious thing they could think of. So, the vault is in the basement, but he keeps the most valuable items in the attic, Skye explained to the diagram on the table. 2 of you will go to the basement, and the other 2 up to the attic. I'll stay on the ground floor, and the one keeping watch has to be loud enough to make sure we all get out before you trip the alarms, Micah commented. His eyebrow arched as Skye looked up at him. One of you can stay on the ground floor, clear out the display cases, and give the signal to leave by setting off the alarms. Micah, having known Skye the longest, volunteered to handle the attic with them, while Jess took the newbie under her wing and handled the basement. Saren happily took watch duty, not so secretly plotting to pocket some gems for himself. Titsky, the most prominent merchant in Cresea, reached the top by brokering thefts and selling stolen goods to the richest of the rich. He and Barris had been in business together for over 30 years, a partnership allowed to continue thanks to the esteemed council being some of their best customers. Cynthia's team lurked in the shadows throughout the city, taking out any guards that got too close to either team's location. Skye's team scattered, and they met at Titsky's shop, making quick work of the meager security the merchant employed. He relies too much on us, Jess whispered. Thinks he's untouchable with the boss at his back. Too bad the boss is more of a knife at his back than an ally, Micah noted. Let's just take as much as we can and go, Skye interrupted already, heading up the stairs. Micah caught up with them at the top of the stairs. You can do to be a little more talkative. Why? I don't need to talk to steal things. There were no doors in the ceiling or at the ends of the hallways that looked like they led up to an attic. Skye paced the hall, feeling along the walls for a hidden panel until they circled the entire upstairs. Maybe a hidden entrance from his office, they thought to himself. The merchant's office looked untouched, as if Titsky never used it. If it wasn't for the lack of dust, Skye would have believed that to be the case. Every file, ledger, pen, and book was meticulously organized, with not so much as a crooked painting on the wall. The cleanliness of the office made the fraying edge of the rug by the bookshelf all the more obvious. Skye started pulling books out at random to find a switch or lever that would open a path. Care to share the plan here, Skye? Micah stood in the doorway, his arms folded. Skye froze, having forgotten they weren't alone, and turned to their partner. There should be a hidden door here. Micah joined the search and soon found the sconce near the shelves that acted as a lever. The bookcase swung open, revealing the ladder up to the attic. Even in the dim light of a couple candles, the entire attic glittered with gold and gems. Wasting no more time, Micah and Skye split to fill their satchels with as much as they could grab. Jewel-studded daggers, diamond-encrusted masks, solid gold figures, rings with gems nearly as wide as the fingers they went on. Skye couldn't believe how much Titsky had accumulated over the years. Saren's loud whistle signaled it was time to retreat. Due to the delay in finding the entrance, neither Skye nor Micah could unlock enough of the chests and cases to fill their bag. As they returned to the ground floor, the loud shrill of bells along the roof of the shop called a dozen guards to their location. As planned, Cynthia's team cleared a path for the Skye's team as they escaped through the back and retreated into the dark alleys of the cluttered market district. The team scattered again, heading to the 5 edges of the city where they each left their horses. A guard appeared in Skye's path, blocking the narrow alleyway, and a second boxed them in from behind. The sudden sweet scent of flowers filling the air prompted Skye to cover their face with their head wrap and hold their breath. Cynthia's signature pouches of poison landed at the guards' feet. Then a burning dart lit them aflame. The guards choked on the smoke, their faces turning blue as the poison paralyzed their lungs. Skye sprinted through the smoke, holding their breath as long as they could to avoid the guards' same fate. Cynthia never cared much for collateral damage. Cloud waited for them in the same small cave, happier this time with a pouch of apples. Skye's team was the first to return to the hideout, earning too many eyes and too much excitement from the rest of the crew. Skye abandoned their bag in the treasury and slipped away before anyone could corner them with questions or small talk. Muffled cries and a chorus of grumbling echoed through the caves as Skye returned to their room. The kidnapping team returned, with Aldrian, kicking and elbowing anyone he could reach, slung over Marcus's shoulder. The noble's hands and feet were bound and his mouth was gagged. As they walked, he shook the hood from his head, revealing his face wet with tears and eyes darting frantically from face to face. Blood stained the delicate fabric of his collar and matted his dark hair to his scalp. When his eyes met Skye's, a flash of anger cut through the fear. Sarah, the main cause of the grumbling, broke from the group to walk with Skye. The bitch screamed all the way through the desert. I say we keep the gag indefinitely. We won't get the combination if he can't talk, or if you kill him. Whatever, as long as I'm not the one on guard duty, I don't envy whoever gets stuck with that job. Skye only got a moment's rest before Barrow summoned them to the makeshift dungeons. They rarely kept prisoners, so the cells consisted of large animal cages just barely big enough to fit an adult sitting down. Aldrin was thin and short enough to have enough space to kick the bars. Ask this once, Barris was telling the noble. Tell us the combination, and you can go home. You don't plan on releasing me. You'll just kill me, so why should I cooperate? Aldrin snapped back. I'll make as much fuss as I want. You'll change your tune soon enough. Barris ignored the noble's further complaints. Skye, got another assignment for you, he said, leading Skye away from Aldrin's loud fussing. You're on watch duty. What? Why me? You're least likely to snap and kill the bastard. You keep an eye on our master of coin. Bring meals. Don't give me that damn look. It's either this or stable duty for the next 3 years. Skye groaned, but stopped fighting. They'd rather suffer the noble than smell like horse shit for 3 years. After stalling as long as they could, Skye brought an unimpressive plate of bread and porridge to Aldrian's cage. The noble had quieted down and huddled against the side. His hands were bound behind his back through the bars. Skye silently slid the plate into the cage and freed the noble's hands. You're not going to yell at me or threaten me or curse me. Even if you gave me a hug and a puppy, I still wouldn't forgive you, or tell you the safe combination. Aldrian muttered. His previously cheery voice had become weak and raspy. I'm just giving you food so you don't starve. Skye sat at the small table across from the cages. They had a decent view of a few intersecting paths and were perfectly content watching their fellow thieves rush back and forth. To pass the time, they had a journal and graphite to sketch the passers-by. Skye's a pretty name, Aldrin said after only a few seconds of peaceful silence. Too bad it's wasted on a criminal. Why are you a thief? Skye ignored him. Are these people forcing you? Are you family? You don't need to do what your family asks, you know. Aldrin took a brief break to pick at the bread and porridge. Is this all you eat, or am I subjected to bland food because I'm your prisoner? If you release me, I'll treat you to something much better. How long does the boss expect me to sit here? Am I supposed to sleep next to the cages? Skye opened their journal and idly sketched the scene down the hall, Marcus flirting with a wholly uninterested Sarah again. Oh, you read and write? That's impressive for a thief hiding out in the desert, Aldrin commented. Toward the end of his statement, he forced some animosity into his voice to hide the initial interest. Marcus's flirting took a negative turn after some joke Sarah didn't appreciate. While he laughed alone, she scoffed and stormed off. His frozen, dumbfounded, awkward smile became the subject of Skye's drawing. The noble huffed and pouted at his one-sided conversation. Do you ever speak or smile? Do you think silence will torture me into handing the national treasury over to you? Skye glanced over at Aldrian, but kept their comments to himself. The stare and the silence only made the noble stiffen more and more uncomfortable by the minute. An hour passed before Skye had silence. Aldrin fell into a fitful sleep, curled in a corner of the cage, his knees hugged to his chest. His furrowed brow and quivering lip became the feature of Skye's next drawing. The silence, however, was short-lived. Not long after Aldrin fell asleep, Cynthia and a couple of her friends strolled through the dungeon, smacking every bar to every cage with their blades as they walked by. Do you need to make so much noise? Skye muttered. We're just here to collect this little noble. It's our turn to play, Cynthia cooed. Aldrin woke with a start and eyed the new group warily. Rather than meeting Cynthia's malicious grin, he looked to Skye for help. Skye, however, stood to leave the moment they were relieved of their watch duty. We can't get the combination from a dead man, Skye warned as they passed their violent comrades. When it was time to resume watch duty and bring a new meal to the noble, Aldrin was bloody and paler than usual. His sleeves were sliced from the excessive shallow cuts all up his arms. His cheek was bruised and his lip broken open. Tears reddened his eyes and washed away some of the blood dripping from his lip. Without a word, Skye slipped the tray of food into the cage and left to the infirmary. The crew had a pair of doctors, but neither were in their office or the storerooms. Skye gathered the bandages and medicine they thought would be useful and returned to the cage. Aldrin hadn't moved an inch. If it wasn't for the occasional sniffle, Skye would have worried he'd died. Skye opened the cage and reached for Aldrin's arm. The noble pressed further against the bars, glaring through his tears. You think you can break me by trying to be my friend? You're no use to us, Dad, and I'm not trying to be your friend, Skye mumbled, showing Aldrin the small basket of medicine. The noble relaxed just enough to allow Skye to clean the cuts on his arms. His eyes locked on the open cage door behind his captor. If you run, you won't get far, Skye warned. They offered a small vial of pain-relieving potion. Aldrin refused it. If I tell you what you want to know, you'd really let me leave. Skye hesitated, but nodded anyway. At least you're honest. You don't think your boss will let me live either. A weak smile broke through the blood and tears. Don't look so surprised. I work with merchants and my fellow council members. I'm pretty good at knowing when someone is lying. We'll move hideouts whether you live or not, so there's no reason to kill you. If you keep that woman away from me, maybe I'll share the combination with you. Skye finished cleaning Aldrian's wounds in silence and returned to their journal on the table. Are you taking notes on how uncooperative I am? No. Perhaps you should report that woman's mistreatment? No. You're terrible at conversation. What are you writing then? Skye silently showed Aldrian the half-finished drawing of Jess leaning against the wall, falling asleep as she waited for the newbie she adopted. That's quite good. You should sell art rather than steal it. Feeling their cheeks flush, Skye looked down to hide their face behind their bangs. It's just to pass the time. If you draw a picture of me, I might forgive some of your transgressions here. Skye ignored the noble until he fell asleep. Only then did they look over and sketch his slightly more peaceful, sleeping face again, making sure to leave out the bruising, cuts, and swelling. Before they left, they slipped the drawing into the cage. Barris was interrogating Aldrian again the next evening. Counselor Gladewell, still don't want to cooperate? Barris chuckled at the lack of response. Oh, I've seen rabbits with fiercer glares than that. Well, I figured we might not get far with you, so I reached out to your family. I thought surely someone else has to know the combination, right? Well, can you guess what they said? Aldrin was uncharacteristically silent. He never shut up while Skye was with him, and he seemed adamant in throwing as big a fit as he could. First, they told me they had no sons, which is what I thought. But they also clarified that they don't much care what happened to you. Now that surprised me, and put me in a bit of a rough spot. Barris started to pace in front of the cage, dragging his ringed fingers along the bars. So I adjusted my message to your family. For every day past tomorrow that I have to wait, I'm killing a daughter, starting with the ones they care about. How does that sound? Don't leave them out of this, Aldrian cried. Then tell us what we want to know. There's no point. As soon as the council learned I was taken, they probably changed the combination. That means you better hope your family takes my threat seriously, then. With a final slap on the bars, Barris headed out of the dungeon. What's the point of all this? Skye asked as their boss strode past with a satisfied smirk on his face. We'll never get into the treasury if they know that's our goal. When did I say the treasury was our goal? I just told you to get the keys and the combination. Skye narrowed their eyes, confused. What else could he be after? Barris lowered his voice to a whisper. The country's coffers are practically empty, trust me. But those heavily guarded crypts from the old kingdom? There's more treasure there than you can imagine. The boss left Skye with a deep chuckle and more questions than they cared to ask. Mulling their concerns over in their head, Skye returned to the table to retrieve the journal. There was no point in babysitting Aldrian anymore. Skye? The noble's soft, broken voice called out before the thief could retreat. Please tell me your boss isn't serious. I'm wondering that myself, Skye thought. The crypts? Since when did Barris believe in rumors and conspiracies? I know you can talk, so please answer me. Aldrian's eyes pleaded with Skye. You wouldn't involve my sisters, would you? Skye was so caught up in Barris's surprise twist they'd forgotten about the threats. If it was all a distraction, he wouldn't go through with it, would he? Why kidnap more Gladewells and risk capture? Are you quiet because you don't know, or you don't care? Aldrian's voice grew louder and stronger the more panicked he made himself with assumptions. My 2 youngest sisters aren't even 12 yet. As long as your family cooperates, you have nothing to worry about. My parents won't bend to a threat like this until it's too late. They're probably too busy preparing my sister to take my position on the council anyway. Please just tell me you're at least against harming children. What do you care what I think? I want to maintain some faith in humanity, even the humanity of thieves and murderers. You've ignored me, but you've at least not harmed me, aside from the unflattering picture of my snoring. The boss will do what he wants, no matter what I think. Skye paused to find the right words, speaking up before Aldrin can upset himself further. But I also hope he was bluffing. Can you at least petition him to capture my sisters instead? Cage them up with me. Just don't kill them. He choked on a sob and gave up on begging. Why do you care so much about a family that doesn't care about you? You're a fool. They're my family. So? You're their son and brother, yet they left you to die. Aldrin's eyes snapped up and a tiny smile crept onto his lips. Does that make you happy? Are you some kind of masochist? No, never mind. Just, please, help me protect my sisters. Skye did question Barros on Aldrin's sisters, but was waved away and dismissed each time. They instead kept an eye on Cynthia and her team, expecting them to be sent out to make good on the threats. After a couple days, Skye learned Barros sent a different team led by Marcus. A scout reported some city guards found his and his team's bodies that morning. The scout also reported that the council mobilized the military on the Gladwell's behalf. The crew had mere hours to prepare before the cavalry reached the hideout. Cynthia's team will lay traps in the tunnels. Everyone else, arm up and get ready, Barros bellowed to everyone crammed in his atrium. That bastard Marcus must have flipped on us for gold, Sarah spat to no one in particular. She caused a rippling wave of outrage through the atrium. Some agreed, while some tried to defend Marcus. We don't know the state of their bodies. They were probably tortured, Micah argued. In one night? So they're either traitors or weaklings, then, Saren grumbled. Shut up, all of you. Who cares who betrayed who? They're dead, and we will be too if you don't get your asses moving. Barros shouted over the rabble. Everyone scattered, save for Cynthia and a few other senior members of the crew. Skye tried to slink away unnoticed, but Barros called them back. Skye, you wait. You're part of the inner circle whether you like it or not, Barros snapped, lowering his voice and beckoning the remaining members closer. Once the rest of the crew are in place, we're leaving through the back, assuming Marcus didn't blab about that too. Skye looked down the dark tunnels where the rest of the team prepared their defenses. Barros was asking them to leave everyone to die. None of the others in his inner circle seemed to care either. Skye kept their concerns to themselves. Go on and gather what you want to bring. If you're not ready in an hour, I'm leaving without you. Getting through the hideout was like trying to swim up a waterfall. Skye shoved their way through the panicked rush for weapons and ignored the cowards they saw sneaking away. The main entrances were rigged with explosive that would cause half the tunnels to cave in, and the tunnels leading deeper into the caverns were lined with tripwires attached to crossbows or pouches of poison. Realistically, Barros could stay and have everyone retreat while the army dealt with the caved-in tunnels. Skye still couldn't understand why they were abandoning the crew. Weren't they supposed to be like family? Skye shoved their meager amount of possessions into a knapsack, mostly journals of random drawings, coin, and a few pieces of jewelry that caught their eye. It took too long to fight through the crowds, and they had less than half an hour to reach Barros before he left. Skye froze at the thought. Would Barros leave me behind too? Aldrin's face floated through Skye's mind. Skye called him a fool for caring about a family that didn't care about him. Despite practically raising Skye, if Barros really left on his own, wouldn't he be the same? Skye shook the thoughts from their head, but still found himself at Aldrin's cage. What's all this excitement? The noble asked as Skye approached. No one cared to tell me anything. Your family or the council mobilized the army to come save you. You should probably stay here until they find you. Skye unlocked the cage and started to leave. Aldrin's worry and confusion changed to something Skye couldn't place, something neither happy nor sad. A bitter smile eventually formed on his face. While I would like for you to face trial for your crimes, I truly hope you can escape this attack. Thank you for keeping me company, as quiet as your company was. Perhaps in our next life, we can be friends. Not knowing how else to respond, Skye simply gave a non-committal nod before running through the tunnels toward the back exit. Cloud was waiting along with Barros, Cynthia, and a couple of the others. 3 other riderless horses waited as well. Skye's feet slowed to a stop, and they darted behind a corner. They had to know if he would wait. That's all they wanted to know. Perhaps in our next lives we can be friends. Why did Aldrin's words keep repeating in their mind? They only hesitated to see if Barros would wait. The Gladwells wouldn't actually let their son die here, would they? The strange look on Aldrin's face wouldn't leave Skye's mind. It wasn't happiness or sadness or anger. It was acceptance, cold acceptance. The Gladewells wanted to replace Aldrian, and the counselors only stepped down in extremely poor health or death. Marion, Cynthia's partner, sprinted past Skye, pulling them from their thoughts. "The army's right out front. Any minute now the traps will start going off," she announced. "Damn it, still missing 3 of you lot," Barris grumbled. "If they'd rather die with the rest of the crew, let them," Cynthia snapped back. "We'll wait a while longer. If you don't like it, leave on your own," Barris barked. "We'll still have time after the explosions go off." Skye could leave with Barrows and never think of Aldrin again. Yet their feet carried them back to the dungeon, even as the tunnel shook with a string of explosions. "Why are you back? You can't fight an army. Just run away!" Aldrin shouted over the rumbling, huddled in a corner and covering his head. "Come with me. You'll die here if you stay, won't you?" Skye threw open the cage door and held out their hand. Stones and dust rained down from overhead, the tunnel's integrity severely compromised. Aldrin hesitantly took Skye's hand and let them lead him through the shaking, crumbling tunnels. Shouts and cries echoed through the cavern, overpowered only by pistol shots and the clang of metal on metal. As the clanging grew closer and the rumbling overhead continued, more and more of Barris's crew started to panic and try to flee. Mustering as much volume as they could, Skye shouted into the tunnels, "Barris left! Just escape!" They didn't know if anyone heard or if anyone would listen, but some of the guilt hanging on their shoulders fell away as they wove through the tunnels. Cloud and a pair of other horses were still waiting outside. Skye swung up onto their horse and Aldrin took one of the others. "Are you all right betraying your boss? He never told me to leave you in there. At this point, he probably doesn't much care what happens here." Skye kicked Cloud into a gallop, and Aldrin followed. They had no particular heading, but made a wide arch in the general direction of the capital. "Where are you taking me?" Aldrin asked after a few short moments of silence. "Nowhere. You can leave and go home." "I'm not sure I want to. Maybe I want to be a thief instead." Aldrin chuckled, a bright smile blooming through the blood, dirt, and stress of the past couple days. "I'm kidding, but I'd much rather stay here with you than be alone." Skye stared down at Cloud's mane, choosing to note they forgot her hood rather than think about Aldrin's comment. Despite the attempt, their cheeks still felt warm. The former noble, rode side by side with Skye, cooing, Are you blushing? All this time did you secretly not hate me?" Bringing attention to the redness in their cheeks only made them flush more. "I never hated you," Skye mumbled, just a loud noble. Aldrin brushed Skye's hair aside to see their ever redder face, laughing when Skye led Cloud further away. "Perhaps we can be friends in this life after all." So this story ended up being semi-enemies to maybe friends, but I did my best. I didn't want it to get much longer than this.